Next up is the Bulgarian split squat, also known as the rear foot elevated split squat. This is a great glute exercise for a few reasons. One, it allows you to get a full range of motion and really stretch the glutes at the bottom. We know that a stretched muscle that's loaded is a working muscle. This is a single leg exercise too, therefore you're also working your smaller glute muscles that help stabilize the hips. This is the goblet variation where I'm holding the weight up in the goblet position. And then you'll see that I switch over to holding the dumbbell in one hand. This is just to show that there are many different variations. You can even use bands, you can even use chains or the barbell as well.
This is probably the hardest to perform exercise that we have here. They're called single leg hip thrusts. Believe it or not, you have to actually produce a lot of force with your one glute to get your body weight up. And you also have to stabilize your hips with your abs and your glute so that you don't rotate and twist using your lower back. Now you can add some weight to this as well. I find that even just a dumbbell going 20 to 50 pounds is more than enough to feel a stimulus and make this exercise quite difficult. You want to make sure that you're thrusting up and you're using your full hip range of motion. Don't use your lower back to compensate. The glutes do both hip extension and hip external rotation. So by doing a glute bridge, you're actually getting both hip extension, trying to raise the hips, and hip external rotation by fighting that band that's trying to come in. Now I'm just showing you the same thing with a dumbbell, just putting a dumbbell on my hips, same exact movement, just loads it a little bit more. This is actually a great exercise for anyone suffering from low back pain, especially if it's compression based, because this exercise does not really compress the spine. Next up, we have glute clams with the band. This is specifically targeting that hip external rotation that I was talking about before. There is no hip extension here. We're just getting those smaller glute muscles that will also help build shape of the glutes and strength in the external rotation. Forward lunges are next. You can also do walking lunges. This is such a great booty building exercise because it targets all three aspects of the glutes. You get hip extension, you also get deceleration, which means that your glutes are actually working to decelerate your body as you're moving forward. And that also plays with the stability because it's a single leg exercise. Glute kickbacks are a classic isolation glute exercise. You can do them with bands or a cable machine. It's super important that you're just using your glutes and you're not using your lower back to twist or rotate or get hyperextension. So you see here, I'm now twisting and rotating with my lower back, which I don't want. My glutes are still working a bit, and this is worse. This is where I feel my lower back as just as much as my glutes. We don't want that either, or else you can come up with low back pain. So once again, showing you how to do it properly here with the other side. You're going to actually brace your abs. You're going to keep everything tight. And you can see there, if you want to make it harder, you hold your arms out further. That will put more tension on the band. But then you bring your arms closer to your legs. See here, these nice reps. I'm nice and tight. These are Romanian deadlifts performed with a pair of dumbbells. So you'll see that I start in a neutral spine. My chest is up. I hinge at the hip. I go as low as I can until I feel a stretch in my hamstring without losing my neutral spine back position. I also have a soft bend in my knees. So here, I'm actually doing what's more comfortable for my hand position, which is to have the dumbbells a little bit diagonal. I started off having them completely neutral to my side. That will decrease the amount of lower back activity because the closer the weight is to the middle of your body, the less tension on your lower back. And here I'm mimicking what a barbell would be like, where I'm actually touching the two dumbbells together out in front of me. So this puts the most stress and emphasis on the posterior chain. Now this is what we don't want. Rounding your lower back to get all the way down. I can feel these reps that my lower back is working and my hamstrings aren't even working. And this is the opposite, a straight leg or stiff leg deadlift. Now I'm not a huge fan of those because look at how small my range of motion is, and I actually also still feel my lower back a bit, more than I should. The reason why this is not a great position is because we want the hamstrings to be the main muscle working. And when you round your lower back, it takes tension off the hamstring and it puts most of it on your lower back. This is something else to watch out for. You don't want to turn your Romanian deadlift into a squat. So this is what happens if I try and go all the way down. Get into a Romanian deadlift until I feel the stretch of my hamstring, and then I start bending my knees to get all the way. That's not what we're looking for here. This is a hamstring-centric exercise. So here, I'm going nice and controlled tempo, and I'm even pausing for a second at the bottom so I can really feel the stretch. This is a good thing to do if you're just learning this exercise because it helps you feel how big of a range of motion you should actually be getting. It's also good for people trying to get to the next step because it'll add time under tension with the same amount of weight, and that can lead to more gains. And last but not least is the deep squat. It's important that you go as low as you can to get the most glute work out of this exercise. The deeper you go, the more emphasis on the glutes. If you're only doing a half squat or a quarter squat, I'm sorry, but it's not going to cut it for the glute gains. You're better off doing one of the other exercises instead of this, if that's the case. Now the variation does matter. Take a look at this one here. It's a frog squat, and the dumbbell is basically blocking me from getting a full range of motion. So that's why I wanted to show that there. I'd rather you do a goblet squat or something with the barbell, because the barbell on your back or in the front squat position will not limit you going super low. And that's it, guys. Now you have a huge list of exercises that you can use to